Luke and Victor.
Hi guys.
Hey, hey.
And we're going to chat today a little bit about chatbots.
Yes.
So,
voice bots. Yeah.
Yeah, voice bots.
Whatever.
So, what do you guys? Who's winning the voice bot wars? Do you think?
Good question.
It's
a really
question.
good question.
So in terms of ecosystem and the landscape today, I think that Amazon are in the lead. They were there first.
Yeah, more people using the Echo.
Yes, they covered much more ground in the early days. But the interesting part is that we are doing today talk about implementing kind of a custom actions and skills on Amazon Alexa, and it's actually Google Assistant, which is implemented in Google Home. And I think that from our experience, Google Home has a much more pleasant, easygoing, and modern approach to writing those extensions.
So as a developer writing extensions, the Google platform is a little more modern.
Yeah, I would say that. They bought a very nice startup some time ago called API.ai. We just call it IAI for the sake of the
simplicity.
Yeah, they renamed it, by the way, like last week. It's Dialogflow now.
Oh my god!
But we still call it IAI.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so you updated your talk already.
Right.
It's interesting.
It's in my talk. And this startup does a very good work in implementing this cross-platform chatbot infrastructure.
Yeah.
It makes it very easy, very pleasant, and a lot of things that you need to kind of bottle in when you write Alexa actions are just not there when you write, Alexa skills are just not there when you write Google actions. And that's the foundation for stealing the market.
Interesting point is that, it reminds me like a JavaScript market like some time ago, like there's every week some new framework, and in this case, like we're already doing this, like the talk for quite some time.
3 months.
3 months, yeah, it's quite some time, three different conferences, and we already like redesigned this a lot of things internally, like this API.
Just in a few months, the APIs are evolving, and you guys are changing
it's
your
moving
content.
fast.
More importantly, tooling involving and more and more features becoming available. So, for example, like we're starting with the simple like voice, like text responses. Now we're evolving into like adding intonation, pronunciation, correct pronunciation of certain words. Now it doesn't sound like a robotic. Hello, people. I am a robot. Now you can add specific tags to the speech, so it can reply.
So it sounds more natural, especially for terms which are more like technical or jargon, which it just won't get right normally.
Yeah.
And I think this, and of course, Amazon is trying to catch up the gap, but this API AI gives Google quite an advantage. And if you ask me, that's the opportunity to steal the market. Yeah. Because the market is about the third-party integrations. And the easier it is to write those third-party integrations, the more integrations exist.
This is like a repeat of the app market for mobile devices, just on a voice platform.
Exactly. And I think, by the way, that interestingly enough, it's kind of it's a little bit different players. Google are there as they are on the mobile market, but here they are battling with Amazon and not with Apple. But this thing of we will make it easier for the developers, and maybe it won't be as sleek as the other guy, but we will win by the sheer quantity, I think still stands for Google those days.
And I guess the difference between like Apple, Google, and Amazon at this point, that they trying to kind of promote their cloud platforms, which is not only place where you can put your code, which is also interesting point.
So it's like it's an entry into their cloud platforms when you're building these applications.
So both of them kind of steer you towards use our thing, right? So when you use Amazon, when you write Amazon actions, Alexa actions, they kind of, you go use Lambda. It's the easiest way. And when you write Google, they're like, here is a very simple way to use Google App Engine, Google Cloud Platform functions. But it actually doesn't have to be, right? All the fulfillment, the back end of those skills is just an HTTPS resource. So it can be anything. It could be Oracle, Oracle
interesting
Cloud.
that they choose the most proprietary part of their cloud offering to recommend.
Well, it makes sense for them, of course, but I think our point here is that it doesn't have to be.
It doesn't have to be that way. So one of the use cases that we're exploring is like invoking some third parties API, for example, Jira. Right now, we're using Jira as a resource of the data. For example, we're developing a assistant for Standups. So when you go to Standups, you can ask your Google Assistant or Alexa, hey, how many critical issues do we have? And in this case, it will, skill itself will transform
it'd be cool if you were like in a stand-up meeting and you're wondering, like, is there a new version of any of our dependencies? Then you could just ask the system and Artifactory
That's
would
kind
respond.
of so we tried a couple of different ways. I did a skill for Jenkins, in which you can ask what's the status of the build and what's the status of the coverage, which is nice, but its usage is limited because you don't normally interact that much with your CI server. It's usually an infrastructure that you get notification if your build passed or failed, and that's pretty much it. But in this interaction, we actually do something very, I think, useful. This daily stand-up assistant can actually be a very useful tool for those daily stand-ups because people talk. And if you have a resource in which you can ask questions like, where are we in terms of items that need to be done towards our end of our sprint? How many critical bugs there are? Is there a new version of a library?
I think I need to create a skill for my stand-up replacement, which will answer questions about like what I did since the last stand-up and what I'm working on and what I'm doing.
Instead of you completely.
And exactly.
Well, I'll update the program each day.
Yeah.
And then all people will need to do is update their status in their skill, and you will have like 5 or 6 devices that will talk to each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can have the devices physically talking and doing a stand-up without any people.
Exactly. That's an improvement.
Another cool thing that is, using this like a voice activated thing is like it's essentially like a streaming data that allows me to collect this and put to the streaming platform.
Right.
Like Apache Kafka, something like that.
Analyze
it. Analyze it.
Obligatory mentioning. Okay, we're good. We can start.
I'm actually seriously working on the the demo where the people on the booth can ask Alexa about the tweets about the conference and how many people tweeting about like a certain hashtag, for example, would be very nice. That use of the technology. So